India announced a slew of measures to boost its manufacturing sector in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first budget since winning a third term. For a decade now, Mr. Modi has urged foreign companies to move their production lines to the subcontinent in the flagship policy known as Make in India. Neha Punya visited a factory to see how this is playing out.
Shaping not just children's dreams, but also crafting India's future. This is one of India's oldest and largest toy manufacturing firms, and 80% of the toys being brought to life here, from dolls to books, will be exported to the US and Europe, but not under the company's own brand name. They mass-produce products custom-ordered by foreign companies.
So our biggest market is USA, and we are working with some of the top brands and retailers there.
Sunlord Apparel started manufacturing plush toys 3 decades ago. But Kharbanda says it was only after the COVID-19 pandemic that Western companies started toying with the idea of diversifying their supply lines away from China.
India is the only country with a working population that can rival China.
This company employs 400 people who churn out 8,000 toys every day. And companies say this affordable and large labor pool is what is drawing foreign companies to India. It's also what the government is hoping to leverage to create millions of new jobs. In 2021, a major US toy maker approached Sunlord Apparels with an offer to collaborate. Kharbanda says their production has since more than doubled, and now requests from other Western companies are piling up.
Yes, we've already started a new factory last year, which is focused more on high volume production, and we've got connections with quite a few large US brands who want to source from India, who already visited the factory and audited it.
In the last 4 years, India's toy exports have increased. But even as the government markets India as a growing manufacturing hub, in truth, the industry's success is largely dependent on raw materials imported from China. Despite heavy restrictions on Chinese investments following a border standoff in 2020, India has continued to allow the import of industrial goods from China. More recently, the Modi government indicated it may consider allowing Chinese investments to boost the sector, a development welcomed by industry players.
Economies of scale has always been a challenge. We would love to be able to import more materials from China more easily to help us meet the global requirements that we have.
India's push to become a global manufacturing hub is why Modi's first budget of his third term saw cuts on custom duties to make the import of certain raw materials cheaper. There were also incentives for factories to hire more workers and more dormitories to support a labor expansion. For years now, Modi has struggled to tackle record unemployment levels and a robust manufacturing sector, which now employs 11% of the workforce, could help add millions of jobs. Experts say India's manufacturing goals can best be achieved if the pivot of supply lines to India is more permanent.
We have to look into developing an ecosystem where parts and components are also manufactured into the country. Today, most of the large companies are procuring from India. They have not set up their base in India, because once they are settled in India, probably they will help us in developing an ecosystem for that.
India's mobile manufacturing industry is one such success story. As of this year, nearly all of India's mobile phones are made locally, while 30% of output is exported. Experts say Apple moving part of its production line from China to India was partly responsible for that. This brought ancillary players that make cameras and phone components to the country as well. Analysts say if India can convince Western companies to move entire production lines here, that's when it can truly claim to be a global manufacturing powerhouse and transform its Make in India scheme to Made in India. Neha Punya, CNA, New Delhi.